Welcome back motorcycle enthusiasts to part 4 of our motorcycle safety series. In this video, we join experienced motorcycle police officer Paul Carroll as he provides an in-depth explanation on motorcycle helmets. From helmet types, cost, safety ratings, and dispelling myths about helmets, Paul will cover everything you need to know to ensure you make an informed purchase for your safety.
You know, people ask me what is ride fear free. Well, it's really the ability. It's kind of a course that bridges that gap from what you may have learned in an MSF course to get your basic motorcycle endorsement and what I call street survival. Obviously, things that happen out on that roadway can be very complex and dynamic, and the skill sets that most riders have will not negotiate those sort of happenings in front of you successfully. So this particular course is designed to kind of help give you some skill sets that will make you not only think, but you practice these skill sets will increase your chances of survival. It's not designed to teach you how to become a police motor officer in 4 hours, because that's impossible. Okay? Just a little, I guess, about my background. My name is Paul. I'm currently a lieutenant with the Nevada Police Department. I've been with them for 16 years now. I am a certified police and motorcycle officer as well as a certified police motor officer instructor. I can tell you that when I became a police motor officer back in 2012, I only had a couple of years of riding experience on the street. I went to an MSF, endorsement course, LI endorsement for the state. And I was a rider just like many of you all. I didn't really realize how much skill set I lacked until I had an opportunity to try out for a police motor officer or motorcycle unit and went through basic police motorcycle operation. And I realized that my skill set, I was always about that close to dying because I would have no real ability to avoid those sort of situations. And if one did present itself in front of me, my skill set was not going to be something that was going to mitigate. I was probably going to lose control of the motorcycle. To be a statistic. So the whole piece of Ride Fear Free is to give you just an insight to not only basic skill sets that you should have and should try to focus on mastering, but also what is out there in the advanced motorcycle training world. There's plenty of courses around here in northern Colorado or in the state of Colorado overall that will help make you a much better rider. Just a little bit about basic motorcycle operation now. Things to think about. We talk about ride fear free. We're talking about being able to ride on your bike and you don't have that sense of tension and anxiety because you question your skill set. When you're out on the roadway and what happens, what am I going to do if something happens in front of me? Helmets. I get a lot of questions about helmets and what kind of helmet should I have. Any helmet is better than no helmet. In the state of Colorado, at least I think currently right now, the latest stats this particular year, we have 149 riders killed in our state in traffic accidents. The highest it's ever been, ever, in our state. When you go back to tracking motorcycle statistics back in 2000, early 2000 time frame, we had maybe 40 or 50 deaths a year. Now we're double and triple. And when it comes down to it, I would say a good third of those riders, not quite half, but a good third of those riders didn't have helmets. So any time that you can cover your head, and because first of all, skull and concrete don't mix. They just don't. I mean, if you fall off a curb and trip over a step and hit the concrete with just your bare head and no helmet on, you have a good chance of having a traumatic brain injury, if not dying in that process. But it doesn't take much. Right? So when we talk about helmets out there, you see various helmets. Our state obviously has a freedom of choice. We don't mandate a helmet ball. A lot of states still have, there's a good portion of states that still have helmet balls out there that require. Because when it comes down to it, we're all paying for it. People don't wear helmets and we have a high, like here, have a high fatality rate. Guess what happens to motorcycle insurance in our state? It goes up. Why? Because it becomes, from an insurance perspective, it really becomes very high risk. So therefore, your rates are naturally going to go up. But the type of helmet out there, you've got half helmets, which is your basic, what I call your basic protection. You move yourself up to a three-quarter helmet, which is basically taking a half shell and then basically we're elongating it down around the ears and coming partially down around the chin. Is your next level in terms of coverage protection. Then you've got your modular helmet and your full face helmet. Okay? Obviously, a full face being the most protective helmet that's out there. You've got various ratings out there that sometimes people can get confused about. You've got DOT rated helmets, you've got ECE rated helmets, and you've got SNELL rated helmets. A DOT rated helmet is a very good, DOT and ECE are pretty much the same rating. One's a European rating on the ECE and the DOT is the American rating. The top rating that's out there is a SNELL. And SNELL Memorial Foundation was named after a guy that was a professional racer that died in a traumatic brain injury in a crash. And his family, in his legacy, basically committed funds into this foundation that would rate helmets out there to make it more protective. The SNELL Memorial Foundation is very, very transparent. And to get a SNELL rated helmet, they have to go through a various series of testing. But it doesn't necessarily mean a SNELL rated helmet is better than, or is going to protect you better than a DOT rated. So that's where it gets a little muddy waters and confusing. SNELL rated helmets, SNELL, the helmet company, physically sends the helmet to SNELL to be tested at their facilities. And to maintain that rating, they have to continue to keep sending helmets to SNELL every so many years to be tested to make sure that they still clearly have that sort of protective value. A DOT rating helmet is clearly voluntary. DOT put out the standards to the helmet manufacturers that this is the standard that we expect. And to get that rating, that helmet gets inspected once, and once that helmet's inspected by the federal government one time and it passes, it gets a DOT rating and it's never re-inspected again. So a lot of the onus is on an honor system with helmet manufacturers, whether it be Bell, whether it be HJC, whether it be Scorpion, whether it be Schubert, Shoei, any of these helmet manufacturers. If it's a DOT rated helmet, my Schubert that I wear, which is a DOT rated modular helmet that I wear, is no more protective value. And you're talking an $800 helmet versus a $200 helmet. Same DOT rating. What you get with a lot of these other premium helmets is how they fit and finish. Comfort, functionality, you're going to pay for it. It doesn't mean it's any more protective than any other helmet. You take a standard Indian helmet on this back wall back here, all of them are DOT rated helmets. Just because you only spend, maybe you spend $175 on a helmet, doesn't mean it's any less or more protective than an $800 helmet. A lot of it comes down to coverage. Okay.
Is it legal for manufacturers to sell a non-DOT SNELL?
They have to sell them as novelty items, not as a protected helmet. So if you're a helmet manufacturer, your helmets in the United States have to be DOT rated. Anything else, they're considered novelty items. And you'll see that in places where they'll sell these helmets and you'll see on the disclaimer stickers that these are novelty items. You'll see these helmets with spikes coming out of the top and all this other kind of wild stuff. Those are all novelty helmets, and they have to advertise themselves as novelty items because they're not protected.
Real small print.
In real small print.
Exactly.
Right. So that's why if anytime you go to a demo truck for any motorcycle manufacturer company, they're very strict on you either use their helmet that they have there, or you have to show that your helmet is a DOT rating. And it has the standard DOT rating sticker that's on the back of the helmet. And to have that, you've got to be able to obviously pass the DOT. Most of the helmets that you're ever going to come across are going to be DOT rated. They're not going to be SNELL. SNELL will not give you a certification on a half helmet or a three-quarter helmet they will. A half helmet they will not, and a modular helmet they will. Because SNELL, and when you talk to SNELL, SNELL's like, it's not like that we won't. It's the problem is that when you enter a hinge point on the chin bar on a modular helmet, it weakens that part of the side of the helmet. So therefore, they claim it doesn't stand up to the SNELL standards. Generally, most of the SNELL helmets that you'll see are a 3/4 helmet or a 4/5. Okay. And but again, you know, SNELL's rating standards can be very tough to meet, but at the same time, there are also, you know, some would claim that, well, the E2 rated helmet is just as protective, not really any less protective than the SNELL. SNELL is just very specific, high impact, those sort of standards that come from DOT. Maybe, okay, SNELL's rating a helmet at an impact speed of 80 miles an hour, the DOT is rating it at 65 or 70 miles an hour. You know, so there's a variety of different parameters. You know, I had an opportunity one time to go Super Sear helmet manufacturer up in Evergreen makes helmets for police motor officers. Most of the police motor officers in our country wear their helmets. They're handmade up there in Evergreen, but they have their own testing facility, their own testing lab. They actually got to watch them go in there and test. And even they will tell you that sometimes SNELL can be very difficult to work with. You know, and it makes it for a lot of helmet manufacturers very cumbersome to go through the testing standards over and over. So if you get a SNELL rated helmet, however, and you want to make sure that it's a genuine SNELL rated helmet, you'll have the sticker on the back of it that will it will say on the back SNELL Memorial Foundation rated. But the biggest piece is that when you go inside the helmet, take the headliner out of the helmet, and inside the helmet on the side you can do a long kind of rectangular sticker showing the SNELL rating and when that rating was done, year, month, all. Right? So that's a good way to double check to make sure somebody just didn't slap some fake SNELL sticker on the back. Okay.
Discover the ultimate apparel at Ride Fear Free and elevate your style with our exclusive collection. Designed for both men and women, offering a wide range of products of shirts, hoodies, headbands, ball caps, and more. Visit our online store today.
So, things to consider. All right, modular helmets I was one that started with a half helmet, went to a 3/4 helmet, went to a modular helmet. Full-faced, would I wear one? Sure, but a full-faced helmet makes it hard to drink on the fly. So I find that a modular helmet makes that ability to do that, as well as get additional air when you're at slower speeds in. Keeping in mind though, when you have that chin bar up, you know, you're opening your lower jaw and face up that if you go off the bike, you could have some issues. Okay? And I went to crashes where somebody was on a half helmet or even a 3/4 and went down, and this girl was riding this 50cc scooter, nothing super powerful. It was an early spring, so there was still a lot of sand on the roadway. It was making a left-hand turn, and her front tire just washed out with some sand in the middle of the roadway. Flew off her scooter, face first. And when I got to the scene, she really had no teeth left in her face at all. And she had helmet on. You know, but that's the part that, those are the risks that you take when you go from one less protected helmet to a more. But I'm one that's just as guilty. At slower speeds in urban environments, really hot, I generally have my chin bar up to get more, right? Which is understandable. So obviously the most protected helmet out there is a full-face. The quietness is what helps as well, because it reduces the amount of noise inside your ears from half helmets. So if you're looking to purchase helmets, always remember there's a ton of reviews. RevZilla is the best site to go to if you actually want to watch reviews of helmets. You know, because they review every single helmet that they have. I would never ever recommend buying a helmet online unless you currently own that particular model and there's no changes in the helmet model. Right? Because very much helmets have very different distinctive designs. You know, you've got ovals, intermediate ovals. You know, all those are different head shapes. You'll find that European helmets are a much smaller head shape than American helmets are. They're much more tight fitting. Okay, so when it comes down to certain companies, it's just a matter of how much you want to spend, the fit and finish, which does make a difference in comfort, especially if you do a lot of long distance riding and you're in the helmet for a long period of time. You know, but all that comes with price point. Okay, so don't think that I'm buying a $900 Shelby Geotech 2, that helmet's going to be any more protected than $175. It's not going to. Right? What you pay for is a lot of fit. You pay for the weight, you pay for the inside fit and finish, chin straps, airflow, visors, how well the visors lock down, clarity, field of view, all these things you're paying for. So just because, and Shoei's are handmade helmets, you know, so when it comes down to it, you're paying for all that. Or maybe an HJC, not quite as expensive, but yet it's very loud. So if you've ever worn an HJC helmet, if you have one and you wear my Schubert, you'll see how much more quiet my Schubert is versus yours. Why? Because they wind tunnel Schubert helmets.
What are your thoughts on earbuds?
I think earbuds are great. I think my wife wears earbuds all the time. I don't. But I've worn helmets that are always very quiet on the inside anyway. I think earplugs help just droning out some of that just overall ambient environmental noise that comes around the helmet. But you get some people that don't like that because they want to hear the music, and I have all my music piped into my comm system inside my helmet anyway. I like that. I prefer that versus it coming out of the stereo speakers because I look at that as a very noisy environment. I want a quiet environment. But I think your earplugs are great. I think it's a good way to first protect your hearing because I think a lot of people discount how much hearing loss that you can generally get from just wind noise. But there's a lot of police motor officer units out there that still wear headphones. We don't in our city, but they do it because they look at it as hot. I'm out there. I need the best field of view, less encumbering. But there's a risk to that. The risk to it is that your whole lower face and jaw are very exposed in the fact that you do. So when it comes down to it, I think that anything that you can do to protect your hearing. All right. So, any questions on helmets?
What's your opinion on like you just drop it? People say that you replace it.
Good question. That's not true. That's really a misnomer. You'll see it in a lot of dealerships on their walls that they'll have a disclaimer that if you drop it, you fall. Well, that's more cosmetic, to be quite frank. When you actually go on to SNELL Memorial Foundation website, they will tell you, dropping a helmet, if you dropped your freaking helmet from the top of your house off onto the concrete, that's a pretty significant impact. You probably need to go to replace the helmet. Because it's probably going to break your outer shell anyway. It's probably going to microfracture the styrene. The styrene is that foam that is inside the helmet itself. The significant impact that requires that, just dropping it on the ground, your head would have to be inside the helmet for that to be the thing that you need. When there's nothing inside the shell of the helmet, inside the helmet itself, and it just hits the ground off of, let's say, from a handlebar down and falls off and hits the ground, there's no damage to the styrene. Remember, the styrene is to protect the body of the helmet. The outer shell is cosmetic. That's all it is. Because when you look at it, it's very much nothing more than a fiberglass composite. Okay, some of it can be carbon fiber. You can get a real premium, expensive helmet with carbon fiber that just cuts down the weight. But yet it has a very high impact value. It doesn't pull holes in it very quickly. So if you drop a helmet, from the typical standard height, 3-4 feet.
The plane's only rolling off my seat.
Yeah, it comes to cosmetic more than anything else. So it starts cracking and breaking. But yeah, if it's something that freaking somebody takes your helmet and freaking tosses it 20-30 feet in the air and it comes down, you probably need to replace it because that's probably had pretty significant impact. But the styrene is usually not damaged unless there's a hit inside that because that's what's compressing.
Could you cover life of the helmet? Meaning, I ride extreme heat, so I ride extreme cold.
Most will tell you that you should replace your helmet every 3 to 5 years. And I only say that because it comes down to, because someone asked me, what if I have a helmet in the box and I've never taken it out of the box until we're 5 years old? Well, obviously you're probably doing a good kid. Absolutely. The problem we have is when helmets are exposed to UV. And obviously in our environment, we're much more exposed to ultraviolet light than people that are at sea level. So the resins in the helmet itself start to break down with UV exposure. So every 3 to 5 year replacement time frame is a typical recommendation from SNELL. And that's why I take a lot of my recommendations from it. When it comes to safety issues with helmets, they clearly are the most knowledgeable experts when it comes to that. 3 to 5 years exposure under normal riding conditions, under UV is usually a life cycle. I will usually replace mine every 3 years. Does that mean the helmet's not good to use after that? No, it's not. It's just the fact that that is a typical shelf life. Not only when you say shelf life, service life. If the helmet's inside and it's never exposed, and you bought like 2 or 3 helmets because you love this model and you've got them in stock on a shelf, in your house, your basement, your garage, and they're not really exposed to a lot of UV exposure or heat-cold mix, then yeah, you can probably use that. It's still brand new. Any other questions? So, when you're considering it, always remember that. Just because it's more expensive doesn't mean it's more protective. Just means it's cheaper, it doesn't mean it's a cheaper helmet. Right? Don't mean it's less protective. A lot of your price point is going to be off a premium finish. Right? Trust me, if you put on a $200 helmet, it's going to feel a lot different than putting on a $900 show. That show is going to feel a hell of a lot more comfortable. Why? Because they make it that way. But you're going to pay for it.
Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Remember to click the notification bell to be alerted when new videos are posted, and join us in the next video.